we support the Save UK Justice campaign because we believe that the so-called reforms that this government are bringing in, ostensibly to save money, will achieve two things. One, major steps backward in the provision of legal services to the people of this country. And secondly, it will not achieve any savings, as indeed we were able to demonstrate in a recent set of documentation that we submitted to the Public Accounts Committee. The alleged savings are a fiction, and in fact the service provider under the contract has made, under the first year, a loss of £15 million. So, bearing in mind the government says they've saved £15 million, there is an equilibrium there, even to the most novice of observers. Now, we say that the costs have actually increased very considerably, and the cost to justice, not just financial, but in terms of reputation within the United Kingdom, has been colossal. It is well known all over the world now that if you do not speak English in this country, whether you are a victim of crime, whether you are a witness looking to assist the courts or to assist the police, you will not see justice done, because the interpreting and translation services provided by the service provider are of such inferior quality that they will be found inadmissible and unusable in court. Well, we're not directly affected by cuts to legal aid. What we are affected by are the terms and conditions under the framework agreement as paid by the service provider. Under the current system, which has not been revoked, it is normal for an interpreter to be paid for a minimum of 3 hours work from the moment he turns up for court, which is usually an agreed, well, it will be an agreed time. If court starts at 10:30, for example, you will turn up half an hour in advance so that you can assist counsel in consultations with their client. Under the new contract, that is not provided for, so you don't get paid for doing that, and you don't do it. As a consequence, defence counsel have to engage their own interpreters, so you can see that any savings are going to be negated. Now, who is to say that under the framework agreement, the quality of this level of service will be maintained? I put it to you that it will not. I put it to you that quality will suffer. Quality is truly appalling in the Crown Courts on a day-to-day basis. Interpreters do not turn up with no notice. They simply don't turn up. Calls are made to the service provider, they don't return the calls, they make promises that are not kept. And cases, if you're a barrister, you're not paid to turn up a second time. You want the hearing to go ahead there and then. So if you turn up a second time, you've got to pay your train fare once more. Now, these guys are finding it unsustainable. We simply can't sustain a quality service for the level of pay that they require. Now, of course, there's also wider obligations, because there is now an EU directive that came into force in the latter part of last year, after a 3-year delay, whereby the UK has accepted that we have to provide an adequate service provision for those who do not speak English in the courts. And I'm not just talking about defendants here, I'm talking about people who are giving evidence, people who have had offences done against them. Maybe they've been robbed, maybe they're the victims of a fraud, maybe we have a young lady visiting the country from a distant land who has been raped. People are going to get away with it. People are getting away with it. There have been many cases documented, and I have the documentation to back this up, where defendants have simply been released and disappeared. Why? Because the evidence against them could not be presented to the court. Now, this is wrong. The documentation is there. We have documentation of thousands and thousands of cases that have suffered and caused extra cost to this country as a consequence of this appalling framework agreement. The people used under the framework agreement tend to be extremely young, with virtually no experience. Many of them cannot even interpret the interpreter's oath. They cannot interpret the witness's oath in Crown Court in front of a judge in English. This is such a very common complaint from police officers as well as court officers. The quality of service is utterly dreadful. There is enormous interest in what's going on. So there's more than a financial cost. There is a huge loss to reputation. It is now accepted that you will not get a fair trial in this country, and if you're a victim or a witness, you will not be treated fairly. You will not get justice. This is dreadful, and it's happened in a relatively short period of time.